In 1386, a man was punished for stealing bread. What they did to him was so disturbing that people traveled for days just to watch it happen. The Middle Ages had courts, judges, priests, laws, and every single one of them agreed on one thing. Punishment wasn't supposed to be fair. It was supposed to be seen. What you're about to hear is real. Every punishment on this list was legal, approved, documented, carried out in public, with an audience. Some of them sound so cruel that historians spent years debating whether they were fabricated. They weren't. This is Savage Century, and these are 7 medieval punishments so brutal they don't even sound real. Number 7, the Scold's Bridle, a device designed for one specific purpose: to stop someone from speaking permanently. If a woman in medieval England was considered too loud, too argumentative, or too willing to express an opinion in public, her local authorities had a solution. They locked an iron cage around her head. The Scold's Bridle, also called the branx, was a metal mask that enclosed the skull. Inside, a flat iron plate pressed down on the tongue. If the wearer tried to speak, the plate cut into the flesh. She would then be paraded through town on a leash. The crowds were encouraged to jeer: neighbors, churchgoers, children. The crime? Talking too much. This wasn't a rogue medieval invention. It was used in Scotland and England well into the 1600s. Some records show it still being used in the early 1800s. The last confirmed use was in 1824. The word scold, scolding, comes from this era. The language survived the device. The women didn't always. Number 6, trial by ordeal. You've been accused of a crime. You say you're innocent. The court believes God will prove it. Here's how. Your hands are bound. You're thrown into a river. If you float, guilty. God rejected you. If you sink, innocent. God accepted you. The fact that innocent people drowned in the process was considered acceptable. There was a land version, too. You held a red-hot iron bar in your bare hands and walked 9 feet. Your wound was then bandaged. 3 days later, the bandage was removed. If the wound was healing cleanly, innocent. If it was infected, guilty. The Church endorsed this system for centuries. It was the official method of determining truth. It was only abolished by the Fourth Lateran Council in 1215. Not because it was barbaric, because priests were getting uncomfortable with their role in it. Number 5, boiling alive. Richard Roos wasn't a nobleman, he wasn't a traitor, he was a cook. In 1531, he poisoned a pot of porridge in the household of the Bishop of Rochester. 2 people died. King Henry VIII was furious, not just at the crime, but at the precedent. So he created a new law. Anyone convicted of poisoning would be executed by boiling alive. Richard Roos was placed in a cauldron of cold water. The fire was lit beneath him. He was cooked slowly, in public, and the king turned him into a warning. The law remained in effect until 1547. During those 16 years, at least 2 other people were executed the same way, including a woman convicted of poisoning her husband. It's worth noting, Henry VIII created this law specifically for this case. He then applied it retroactively to Richard Roos, which means Roos was executed under a law that didn't exist when he committed the crime. The medieval world was efficient like that. Number 4, the breaking wheel. The Catherine wheel sounds almost elegant. It was not. The condemned was tied to the spokes of a large wooden wheel, arms and legs spread wide. Then, using a heavy iron hammer, the executioner broke each limb, methodically, one by one, legs first, then arms. The spine, if the sentence called for mercy, came last. After death, the broken body was left on the wheel, raised on a post, as a public display. sometimes for weeks, as a warning. The more common version was slower. The body was woven through the spokes after breaking, left alive. Some condemned took 2 or 3 days to die. The wheel was used across France, Germany, and the Holy Roman Empire from the early Middle Ages into the 1800s. The last recorded execution by wheel in France was in 1789, the same year the French Revolution began. History has a dark sense of timing. Number 3. Rat torture. This one is the reason people assume half of medieval history is fabricated. The method was this. A living rat was placed on the prisoner's bare chest. An iron bucket, open at the bottom, was placed over the rat, trapping it. A fire was then lit on top of the bucket. As the bucket heated up, the rat panicked. Unable to escape upward, it began to dig, downward, through the prisoner. Historians still argue whether it was common. But that's not the disturbing part. The disturbing part is this. Someone invented it, someone tested it, and someone decided it worked. Number 2. Hanged, drawn, and quartered. This was the official punishment for high treason in England. Official, codified, performed in public by the state. Here is the procedure, as documented. The condemned was tied to a horse and dragged through the streets to the place of execution, then hanged, but not to death. Released while still conscious, then disemboweled. Their organs removed and burned before their eyes, then beheaded. Then the body was cut into 4 pieces, quartered, and the parts were sent to 4 different cities, displayed on city gates, as a message. This punishment was used in England from the 13th century. The last confirmed execution of this type was in 1782. Hundreds of people were executed this way. Their names are in the historical record. William Wallace, Hugh Despenser, Guy Fawkes, though he died during the hanging before the rest could be carried out. This was not an act of barbarity by rogue officials. This was the law. Number 1. Pressed to death. In Latin, it was called Peine forte et dure, hard and forceful punishment. Here is why it existed. Under English law, a court couldn't try you unless you entered a plea, guilty or not guilty. Some defendants refused to speak, not out of stubbornness, but strategy. If you were convicted and executed, your estate was seized by the crown. Your family inherited nothing. But if you died without pleading, your family kept everything. So the law had a solution. You were taken to a dark room, laid on your back, arms and legs tied to opposite walls. A heavy board was placed on your chest, and then the weights began. Stone by stone, hour by hour, day by day. The official diet during pressing, 3 pieces of barley bread, no water. Then the next day, foul water, no bread, alternating, until death. The last recorded use in England was 1741. The practice was abolished in 1772. The most famous case in America, Giles Corey, during the Salem witch trials, 1692. He was 80 years old. He refused to plead. He was pressed for 2 days. According to witnesses, when the sheriff asked him to enter a plea, Corey answered with 2 words, "More weight." He died shortly after. His estate passed to his children. He won. 7 punishments, all documented, all legal, all carried out by people who believed they were doing the right thing. That's not the frightening part. The frightening part isn't what they did. It's that they believed it was right. And every generation in history has believed the same thing about itself. If this shocked you, you're not ready for what comes next, because the Middle Ages had punishments even worse than these, and some of them were used on children. Subscribe to Savage Century. New episode every week. History's darkest chapters, documented, sourced, and told exactly as they happened.